there, Mrs. Williams here, and this is problem 4.4.B-9. And the problem says we want to find 8 1/4% of 240. So 8 1/4% of 240 is blank. So one thing we can do first of all, just to kind of get an idea or a sense of about what our answer should be, which is always kind of a good thing to have in your head, would be to round that percentage up to something close, maybe the nearest 5 or the nearest 10. We could round it up to 10% instead of 8 1/4%, just to get an idea of, about what should my answer be when I'm done with this problem, just to see whether I'm kind of close or way off. So 10% is pretty easy to calculate. All we have to do is take the decimal point and move it one place to the left. So 24 would be approximately 10%, well, would be 10%. Now we're going to be slightly less than that because 8 1/4% is a little bit less than 10. So we should get something a little bit lower than 24 when we're all said and done with this problem. This is a percent problem, so we can use the percent proportion. So in this unit, in this module, we've learned P over B equals R over 100. And the key is remembering what all these letters stand for. B is the base, or whole, or total amount. So our total amount in this problem is 240. We're trying to find 10%, which is, or 8 1/4%, which is, part of that 240, but 240 is the whole amount. And so that's going to go in right here for B. P is our percentage, or the part being compared with the base, and R is the rate or percent. And I know I think that's where it gets a little bit confusing. Another way to write the same percentage, but is sometimes helpful when it's worded like this, is over of equals percent over 100. And so if you have the wording is and of in the problem, this version of this problem kind of helps you. So 8 1/4%, that would go in for the percent. And that's really the same thing here. Whatever the percent is going to go over the 100. Okay, so this would be 8 1/4. Again, because it's a percent, that's going to go in here as well. 8 1/4% of 240, so the 240 would be our of, is blank. We don't know the is. This is our question mark. Same thing over, with this version of the formula, this is the part of the whole that we don't know. So this is not a percent, it's the number out of 240 that would represent 8 1/4%. So either way, you're going to get the, whichever version of that formula you use, you'll get the same thing. We're going to have x over 240 equals 8 1/4 over 100. Now 1/4 is a nice decimal. It ends at 0.25, so we could rewrite this as 8.25, and that would be okay here. If you have something like 8 1/3 and the decimal 8 1/3, if we converted, that would be 8.3333 repeating forever. And so it would be better to take this and convert the fraction to a mixed fraction rather than changing it to a decimal in that case. But here we could do that. We could do 8.25. Okay. And then because we have two fractions with an equal sign in between, or a proportion, we can cross multiply. So we would get 100 times x from this numerator and denominator, and then 240 times 8.25 on this side from the denominator and the numerator here. And then we can go ahead and figure out what 240 times 8.25 would be. And then the last step is to get x by itself. So we want to divide by 100 so that the 100s cancel out. 100 over 100 reduces down to 1. So we have 1x left. And so we're going to get 19.8 And you can see that that would make sense for our answer because that's a little bit less than 24, so that makes it sound reasonable. And it says type a whole number or a decimal. And so usually rounding to the tenths would be, since we have a decimal, that's a good spot to round to, unless it specifies specifically where to round to, the tenths place should work. I also just wanted to mention just another tool as well. This is, if you're in the study plan looking at this problem and you did need help, I just want you to be aware that if you click on this question help button up here, it will walk you through step by step. Now, I totally understand, sometimes that still may not help completely, but just so you know that that's aware, or that you're aware that that's there. And so it kind of guides you, okay, here's the formula you want to use. You can press continue, identify the value of B, you type it in, it'll tell you, you can check your answer once you type it in. Let's type in 240, check your answer. Nice work, you got it. And then it'll tell you, okay, now find R. What's R? Let's say 10% or 10. No, R is the number with the percent sign attached. So there's a little bit of guidance there. The nice thing too is if you go through that and you click close, what it will do is it'll actually bring up a new question so that you can practice that same skill on a different problem just to be 100% sure that you got it. The other thing too under that question help is view an example. So that won't do the same problem in this study guide or the practice test. It'll give you just something similar, and then you can go ahead and try the question again. So just wanted you to be aware of those, and I just have some extra resources.